In this video, I'm going to build an entire district for 5 aesthetic and automatic farms because my upload schedule is too slow and I need to complete projects faster. And I already know exactly where we're going to build this thing. We have a lovely abandoned village just over the water there. And when I say abandoned, of course I mean we kidnapped all of the locals last episode and placed them in our village over there. But that's going to at least make my conscience a little bit lighter for the thing we're about to do. I think it'll be really cool if we have some farms on the bottom here, running along the hills, and also placing some on top of the hills too. But unfortunately, we do have all of these houses in the way, as well as all these market stalls. We've got plant pots all over the place. So unfortunately, we are going to have to tear this entire village down. But no need to worry, I have done a few checks and there are definitely no villagers left in this place. It is completely deserted. But of course, because we built our village in episode 2, we have all of these wonderful tools. I've got everything completely decked out to the max, so this shouldn't take long at all. And just take a look at how much better this already is. I feel like we've given ourselves such a nice canvas to work from. Now, of course, all the buildings have been removed, and I never really planned on removing all of the path blocks, although there are still a few left over that I missed. But I'm definitely glad that I've done it, because again, it just frees up so much space. But I must say, everything still just feels a little bit messy, so I think it'll be best if we do a nice little terraforming project here. I think I'm just going to straighten a lot of this out, and then maybe extend platforms like that across here, so we've got a nice walking space along the middle there. But to build those hills, I'm going to have to head to the mines so that I can grab some stone, cobblestone, and andesite so we can keep it all looking nice and natural. And wouldn't you know it, surprise, surprise, I think I probably went a little bit overkill again. But that's okay. We can always just use the spare later on. But now that we finally have all of these materials, let's terraform these cliffs and get them ready for our project. Okay, you have to admit, that looks pretty cool. And it really, to be honest, didn't take as long as I thought it was going to. I only spent maybe an hour on this, but why don't we head over there and take a closer look. So first off, I just want to say the texture probably isn't final, and I would also like some rooted dirt along the edges there, but currently I don't have any, so dirt and grass will have to do. But either way, can't really complain. I think it looks fantastic so far. And of course, I have gone ahead and marked the buildings out with wool. And I've also put a little sign over each one so we can see exactly what we're going to build. So this one, if you can read English, clearly says lava farm. I've never had a lava farm before, and I've thought, what better time to make one? And then just to the side here, I am going to have some stairs which will cut up to the second level. And right on the top here, we are going to have our melon and pumpkin farm. I'll have a nice farmhouse here with some fields of pumpkins and melons at the front there. And then if we just go to these stairs over here to go up to the next level, we get a nice walkway all the way along here. And if you're wondering what I'm going to do with all these empty spaces, I'm just going to fill it in with some nice little crop farms, as well as various decorations, and I think it'll look great. But yeah, anyway, if we keep going in this direction, we can get onto this platform here where we have another building, which is going to be the sugarcane and bamboo farm. I'm absolutely desperate for sugarcane, and I keep forgetting to harvest it, so this is going to be amazing. But if we then come along here up to the top level, we have 2 buildings. We've got one to my right and one to my left. The one on the left over here is going to be probably the most beneficial farm I will ever build in this world, the iron farm. I am absolutely desperate for some iron. And then of course the final building that I mentioned over here is going to be a sheep farm. So what I think I'll do for this one is just have a nice barn which will be filled with sheep, and we'll get one of every single colour in here. And also I would just like to add, the view up here is insane. We've got our lovely home island over there, and we've got our village that we just built in episode 2 all the way across the water. Once we get all of this built in, this world is going to really start looking insane. I'm definitely excited. And you're probably thinking, well, which one are we going to build first? And it has to be the iron farm, mainly because we're going to need iron to build a lot of the other farms, but I also just want to get the villagers stuff out of the way. That's right, to build an iron farm, we're going to have to get villagers all the way from over there to over here. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be fun. And speaking of that, I've just ran over to our village because there is something that I want to show you. But before I do show you, I asked you all last episode to give a name to this new village. We had some great suggestions, but the clear winner for me was Humble Bumbleton. So I'm going to make it official, and let's get back to the episode. Now, you're going to have to forgive my lack of presentation here, but if we just go down this hole, you will see that I have made a villager breeder down here. We did have one on the surface on episode 2, but I've moved it down instead. But this one works super easily. All I have to do is click this button here, and that will scoop a villager out, and he's ours. So we clearly don't have any issue getting villagers, but the real problem is getting them from this village all the way over there onto the top of that little hillside. But I do think that I have a plan. So what I'm going to do is grab a load of dirt, and then I am going to take this dirt and build a platform all the way from the village over to the other side of those hills. Then we can place rails on it and transport the villagers by minecart. Oh, what an absolute monstrosity of a build. But hey, it's going to get the job done. And you know what? I'm kind of getting excited to see this thing in action. And off he goes. Oh, God, that was faster than I thought it was going to be. Did it work? It worked! Look at him, he's off. And there he goes all the way up the top. And you know what? I think he's going to make it. That was actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I think we need 3 villagers in total over there. So let's send number 2 on his way. See you over there. And finally, let us send number 3. Bye. Now I have gone ahead and moved over some stuff that we can build the farm with. And this iron farm is going to be super simple. It's this one here by Voltrox. And the first thing we're going to have to do is build a nice little compartment for these guys to live. So I'm just going to grab these blocks out of the chest to start with. And then all we've got to do is make a nice outline around the edge of the wall. Because I did do a little bit of research before starting this and made sure that this house outside of it is going to be the exact right size. So I'm just going to bring this up by 1 more layer. Then we can get some stone slabs across the top, and then we can just go fill in all of the empty spots with buttons. That way nothing's going to spawn where it shouldn't. And then on the inside here, I just need to place these barrels down, pop some buttons on top, and then we can place the villager beds down too. And there we go. Their little house is kind of sorted now. How do you feel, guys? You excited? I would be. It's better than the villager pit anywhere. So what I think I'll do is just wait until the sun goes down. Then I should be able to just break the mine carts, and hopefully they will walk straight on over here. So yeah, back in a second. And it is go time. I think these guys should be seeking their beds right about now. I'm just going to patch this part up so they don't accidentally drop into the wrong section. And if we very carefully just break these mine carts, we'll start with you. That's a good sign. Come on. He's in. Nice. Okay, cool. Let us do this one and this one. There we go. Oh, you love to see it. We need to make sure these guys go to sleep as well. That is actually part of the farm design. They need to spend at least 1 night in bed for this to work. Come on, mate. I really need you to go to sleep right now. Why is this guy not sleeping? I don't understand. Oh, we got monsters spawning. Am I going to have to break this bed? Okay, maybe that. There we go. All right, lovely. That wasn't too difficult. And crisis averted. And next, I just need to make sure that all of the area around the little villager hole is spawn proof. And then that way, we won't get any iron golems spawning where they're not supposed to. There we go. That is all sorted. It does look kind of rubbish, I'll be honest, but I do actually plan on replacing this with farmland. And then once we start getting all of the poppies from the iron golems in this thing, I'm going to plant them out front instead. And I think that's just going to look a lot more appealing than, well, just flat path blocks, you know. But we do need a collection system, so I'm quickly just going to dig this out. And then what we'll do is just place a chest right in the middle here, add a hopper into that, put a sign on top, stack some signs on the sides here like this. And then what we can do is place some lava on top, and that won't spill anywhere. Then we can just take some water, add it into 2 corners, and there we go. That is our collection system. And let's just test this works. It does not. Okay, I guess we need water in all 4 corners. So let's plop 1 there and 1 there. There we go. That is working perfectly. And the final step we're going to have to do is just to place a boat down here. We'll get this lined up nicely with the bed. Should look something like that. Bruh, what's that noise? Oh, no. Oh, sorry guys. Don't worry. You're safe. It's okay. Calm down. Okay, so I just had to break a hole to get out, but these guys will all return back here at nighttime, so we don't really have to worry about that. But where did that zombie come from? Oh, okay, we got a little hole down here. All right, let's just block this up to make sure we don't have anything like that happen again. But looks like these guys are heading back to their beds. Very nice, very nice. Then all we're going to do is stay up a little bit later so that we can get a zombie of our own and move him into this compartment here. And then that way, he will be perpetually scaring the villagers, which will constantly be spawning iron golems for us to farm our iron. And I think I've just spotted a guy down there. There he is. Would you mind coming up, sir? All right, with me, sir, with me. Oh, actually, let's just break some holes in this in advance. We don't want to mess this up as we get inside. Break a hole on this side too. And we should be able to just walk along, hop over the boat, and he's in. There you go. Easy as that. And we got a golem spawn. Okay, I've just realized having our wool outline for the build is a spawnable block, so we're going to have to remove all this. But you know what? Why don't we go to bed and I'll do that in the morning, because there's quite a lot of mobs around here now. So I have cleared everything up, and I think the farm is working properly now. So if we just hold on a second. Oh, there we go. Nice, we just had one spawn. So the lava kills that guy drops iron, which then just goes straight into this chest here. That is so good. Nice, we've got 14 iron already. That is fantastic. So the important bits are finally done. We now have a fully functioning iron farm. This is genuinely a huge step for the world. Having an iron farm is just going to save so much time and make my life so much easier when making these episodes. I probably should have done this in episode 2, but you know what? Better late than never, eh? But of course, we're not just going to leave this out in the open here because it looks very ugly. So I'm going to run and get some blocks and then we'll start on the build. Alright, so I have sorted all of the blocks out and I think we've got a pretty nice palette here. I'm thinking we use all of these blocks in this section for the foundation, although maybe not the granite. That's probably going to go in the roof. And of course, we've got the classic spruces and barrel combo. Can't really go wrong with that. Got some nice deep slate and bricks again for the roof with probably this granite. And then I've got some lighter blocks at the side here, which we're going to use for a tower. And I was also thinking, because I use so many white blocks, I think at some point in this episode, I'm going to go hunting for some pale wood. I think an extra block added onto this little section would be great. But that is for later, so let's get started with this build. But you know me by now, and it wouldn't be a chopping build without starting with barrels in every single corner. And then what I'm thinking is just running a nice stone foundation across the bottom with cobblestone, andesite, and probably some normal stone as well. And there we go, we've got a nice little shape in so far, and luckily no iron golems have actually spawned on the top bit here either. So we've definitely gotten quite lucky. And I've left a space here for a doorway so that we can just walk straight in, and if I can... Oh, I fell in! Oh! Oh! You know what? Maybe this is not such a good idea. Alright, scratch that. We'll not have a doorway here that I can just reach over. I will think of something a lot safer. Anyway, I've got the general shape in. Let's just get the rest of this built. I think that has turned out really cute. It's so cozy, I love it. And usually when I do white wool walls, I tend to sprinkle in a little bit of calcite, or maybe even some diorite, but I just stuck with white wool on this one. Makes a little bit of a change, and I think it just looks clean, to be honest. I like it. But I love the chimney that we've got going on as well. This side section here looks great with a curved roof, and it's quite hard to get a good view of it, but we do have a lovely tower over there as well on the other side. And it all fits the farm perfectly. I kind of just want to hold on to make sure this actually works. Oh! And there we go. Nice. And that works beautifully. Look at that. We have got over 4 stacks of iron ingots already. This thing is an absolute game changer, I'm telling you. And just to be on the safe side so I don't fall in the farm again, let's just plop a door there for now until I get a better storage system sorted out. But yeah, I am really happy with this. And like I said earlier, once we have enough poppies from the farm, I'm going to turn this all into farmland and plant them outside so it looks a bit nicer than just, well, you know, dirt path. So all in all, I am really happy with this thing, and it's time to move on to the next farm. And since we're already working on the top level of this terrain, it makes sense to fill the rest of the area in and move on to our sheep shearing farm. Now I do have very big plans for this one. I want to make it into a large barn area, and then on both sides I'm going to have a row of 8 automatic sheep farms. I want to make sure that we have one of every single color, and I may be missing some, but Google said it was 16, so 16 is what we're going for. But of course, before we build everything, I think the most important thing to do is get the layout for the actual farm in. And this farm is going to include a lot of glass. So I think the best thing to do is to head over to our village area and trade some emeralds for glass. Hello, gentlemen. I am in the market for some glass. Heard you can help me out. There we go. 1 emerald for 4 bits of glass. That ain't too bad. Now this bit should be quite simple, but it is going to use up a lot of resources. I'm just going to go with the classic sheep farm that I'm sure you've all seen before, where you basically just plop a sheep in the middle here, and you have an observer and a dispenser that will just automatically shear them every time the grass block is consumed. I hope I explained that right. It'll all become clear shortly, but I'm just going to go ahead and get all of our little sheep prisons set, and then we can move on to the next step. And there we go, nice and simple. Although, to be honest, I didn't really think this through, because to get the observers and the dispensers in, we'll probably have to remove the glass at the back here, but whatever, we can cross that bridge when we get to it. But right now, I'm a little bit nervous, because we have to do something very dangerous that we've never had to do before. We need to go to the nether, because we need quartz to be able to build observers. Anyway, I'm going to head all the way down our mines, so we can get obsidian for our portal. Alright, obsidian acquired. Let's head back up to the top and get this portal built. And I feel like I'm just going to build the nether portal on the wall underneath the iron farm here. I just feel like it'll fill the space in nicely. We've got a lot of room here. So let's just break a few blocks out of the wall. We'll pop some stairs in there. And then if we just take these blocks out, we can have the nether portal inside like this. And bada bing, bada bum. we have a nether portal. Looks a bit rubbish though, doesn't it? Gotta be honest. So I'm just going to spruce it up a little bit here, quite literally. Nothing special, of course, just something to add a little bit of interest. And there we go. I think that is already looking much better. And of course, we cannot forget our golden helmet. That'll keep the angry piggies away, and we should be safe. Oh, I just remembered I don't have a shield, but you know what? I can't be bothered to walk upstairs to craft one. So we're going in without. Oh, Soul Sand Valley. Basalt Delta. This is not ideal. Let's get away from this edge before Skeleton knocks us over. Right, we have come for one thing and one thing only, and I can see it over there. We've got some quartz in sight. So let's just get in and get out. And luckily, all the pigs are going to leave us alone, so we should be able to just mosey on right over. And I believe you only need one bit of quartz per observer. So let's see how much we get off here, because we do have Fortune 3, so that's going to go a long way. And there you go, already we have enough for the sheep farm. But we are going to need more for the other farms as well, so I may as well just grab them all while I'm here, and then we won't have to come back. We got a full stack. That should be more than enough. Let's get out of here. I hate it. And I've also just quickly popped down to the skeleton farm, because we are going to need a lot of bows to make all of these dispensers. And I know a lot of these are kind of half broken, but all you need to do is combine them in the little crafty interface like that, and you get a full bow. So I'm going to do this for a little bit and we should be ready to build. And I think I was kind of right. This glass is just going to get in the way. But you know what? I think we've got enough spare that I can just knock it down and start over afterwards. Yeah, okay. This was a silly mistake by me. But as I've said before, you know, you don't always do things right the first time. Okay, so we need to start by putting a dispenser there. And yep, that is the wrong way. Okay, redstone is not my strong point. Okay, yep, that's not it either. How about that? Okay, yeah, there we go. So all we got to do is place some redstone here. Then we just got to dig a nice 3x3 hole in the ground. Place a double chest at the bottom there, just like that. Connect a hopper to the chest. Then we can place a rail down, put a minecart hopper on top of that, cover the hole back up, and then add a trapdoor on top. And then the last bit is just to place an observer on there like that. And then we can just fill the glass back in. And that's it. That's the whole thing. So I'm going to get all of these filled in, and I'll see you in a second. And after about 20 minutes, that is all done. I've not loaded the backs of these with shears yet, because I want to make sure we get all the right colours in first before doing anything. But now is time for the not so fun part. We need to get 16 sheep from down there and bring them all the way up here. I'm sure this is going to be completely stress-free, but we do have to take them over this river here. So to make everybody's life easier, I'm just going to make a little bridge that we can walk them straight across. Alright, something like that should do. Let's go get the sheep. Okay, would you guys like to come with me? We need 16 volunteers. 16. I can't really count how many is here, so tell you what, we'll just take the lot. Alright, single file please. Single file. There we go. Don't worry, Del. This is supposed to happen. Down towards the bridge, please. Down towards the bridge. Alright, so far so good. No one's fallen off. Well, I've got to say, this is actually going a lot smoother than I thought it would. It shouldn't take long at all. Right, I don't know if we maybe lost some on the way, but we definitely do not have 16 here. So I'm just going to make a nice little sheep pen around the side of the soon-to-be barn here, and we can just breed a few of them up and get them trapped inside. Suckers. Oh no! No! Didn't think that one through. Oh, we got one on the outside. Actually, you know what? That works out. You can be our first sheep into one of these little contraptions. You would like to just come up here, sir? And done. Nice. So to get this thing rolling, I'm just going to shear this guy. Then we're going to pop those in there. And whenever he decides to eat the grass, that should trigger the observer to shear him. And hopefully we'll get his wool dropped down into our little compartment here. So let's just see if this works. Oh, here we go. Nice. And do we have the wool in here? We do. That is perfect. All right, that works. I'm going to get the rest of the sheep in here, even though we don't have all of the correct dyes yet, but we will circle back to it. But once the sheep are in, I will be able to build the barn. And how cool does this look? I went ahead and just put all of the respective dyes onto item frames. And the reason I've done that is because when a sheep is sheared, it turns white again, which is kind of confusing. So I can just look at the colors at a glance, although I am colorblind, so it doesn't really help. And I think this makes for quite a nice little system. But yeah, that is all 16 sheep done. So it is time to move on to the actual build itself. And as usual, before we go ahead and build something, I've just laid out a nice little palette, and surprise, surprise, it pretty much looks like all the other palettes I use in this world. Oh, but we are missing a block. Hold on a second. There we go. Now it's a pallet. But yeah, just the go-to stone blocks. We've got some nice wood variants in there, and we've got some white wool. I want to keep this one especially rustic, as it's going to be like an old-styley barn. But enough yapping, let's get this thing built. Just take a look at how nice this whole area looks now. Of course, we've got the barn all finished up, which I think's come out amazing. It definitely hits that rustic vibe I was going for, and I couldn't be happier. And of course, we do have the sheep in there, just getting sheared away. But yeah, something quite funny happened. So because we have a bit of redstone magic around the back here, it's interfering with these trapdoors, so they keep opening and closing. But I'm not really going to worry about it. If anything, it's kind of funny, so I'm just going to leave it how it is. Then of course, out the front here, we've just planted a few little crops. Got a bunch of flowers down there too. And over at this side, I've just got a bunch of hay bales, because you know, it's kind of a farming district. I think it's a good fit. And the same over here as well. We've just got little farming pallets that may come in handy for any of the farmers moving in and out of the area. And our iron farm is still going strong, which has given me the chance to plant all of the poppies out the front. All in all, I couldn't be happier with this area, which means it's time to move on to something else. And since we finally have the entire top level complete, it's time to move down a level to work on the sugarcane and bamboo farm. Now this is where it's going to get a little bit complicated, because neither of these farms are really going to fit into the footprint of this house. So I think we're going to have to do is dig downwards, maybe about 5 or 6 blocks. That's a bit more than 5 or 6, but that's probably about right. And then what we're going to have to do is dig out a nice space underground so that we can put the farms down here. And there we go. I think this should give us enough space. So we've got our little entrance hole here, which will just be a ladder. And then when we come down, as we look forward, there will be a row of sugarcane farms on this side and bamboo farms on this side. And then maybe at the end, we can just place some extra storage, because this stuff is going to produce quite quickly. But obviously the whole thing's looking a bit rubbish right now, and that's because I don't really want to get the decorations in until we fitted the farms. So I'm going to run up top and we'll grab everything we need to get this done. And we are going to need so many resources for this. I've done the maths, and we're going to need 30 observers, and we're also going to need 30 pistons. So it's a good thing our iron farm's been made. Oh, and this thing is chugging. I like it. Okay, and pistons. And there we go. We have just enough for 30. That's perfect. I'm sure there's probably something I forgot, but I can get it later on. So I would like to start by laying out the farm first, and then we'll worry about all of the decorations afterwards. Now, first things first, we are going to need to put some mud blocks down so we can place the sugarcane. So let's just start by placing one here, and we'll run it all the way along till the end of the room. And there you go. We're making progress already. But now that's in place, let's get one on the other side here too. And I've just ran cobblestone along the back here because we are going to have to fill this in with water, but we'll not be able to see this block once the farm's all complete, so it doesn't really matter what we put there. Alrighty, next step, just got to get this all filled in, and then let's just get that all sealed up with some bamboo planks. I know this is going to be sugarcane, but well, we don't have a sugarcane block, so this will have to do. And I never know how to do pistons. Is it this side? It is. Okay, great. And just like the bamboo, going to take it all the way down to the end. And I'm kind of glad that we left a lot of room here, because this is a lot taller than I thought it was going to be. But all we've got to do now is get the observers on here, place the redstone along the back, and I believe that should work. Let's just test this real quick. We can just stack you on top, and another one. Oh! Yep, there we go. It works. God, I am such a redstone genius. And I am just digging out underneath here so we can set up our collection system, which is going to be really simple. Just going to put a chest here and just add a row of hoppers. And I believe that should be it, right? Let's just test this. Let's throw some bamboo into that end so that'll have got sucked up into that hopper. And hopefully that's traveled all the way through to our chest. And it has. You love to see it. So I'm just going to go ahead and get everything all planted. Got the bamboo on one side and the sugarcane on the other, but it is definitely time to make this thing look pretty. And we do also have the outside building to do as well. So I think we should do them both at the same time. And that sounds like a plan to me. Let's go. Alright, I am so excited to show you this. I absolutely love this whole area. So if we just come up the stairs here, we do of course have the main sugarcane farm and bamboo building, which I think looks fantastic. Now over here, I've just built some pallets. We've got a nice mix of bamboo stuff in there. And because you can't really build anything out of sugarcane, I think the only logical thing to do is to just plant a bunch. So we've got this nice strip along here, and we do also have this along here too. But other than that, I've planted some nice crops around the side. Got some lovely rooted dirt in there. Very, very underrated block. And then of course coming along here, just some more bamboo decoration, which I think looks great. But the main attraction is definitely inside. And I can't wait to hear your guys' opinions on this, because this is one of my favorite interiors. And just coming through the front door of this thing, we do have a very cozy interior, which I'm super happy with. We've got some nice storage on both sides here. And I'll be honest, I didn't really know what to put in the middle, so I just kind of put bamboo pots everywhere. Looks like a bit of a shrine, but you know what? I like it. Not bad at all. And then up the top here, I've created like a little attic space. books. It is empty for now, but I feel like once I've got a good excess of bamboo, I'm going to start storing some things up here as well. But now for the main event. If we go all the way down here, get a load of this. I absolutely love this thing. It's so clean. We've got the sugarcane farm on this side, which feeds into this chest here. And don't worry, it is working. I've just taken a bunch out so I could trade it for these golden carrots. And then, of course, on the other side here, we've got the bamboo, which again is working, but I've taken the majority out of here for the decorations upstairs. And since these farms need sufficient light levels to grow, I did go ahead and grab some glowstone from the nether. And I think it makes for a really cool look. I've also added a few up the top here as well, just for a little bit of extra decoration. And of course, right at the end here, this is where I'm going to be storing all of the excess from this farm. Oh, and of course we've got a little crafty bench in the middle here, and barrels, you know. Couldn't build a build without barrels. But genuinely, I could not be happier with how this has turned out. You may think this is a bit silly because we've already built some very cool things in this world, but this underground area here is by far my favourite. And usually I do plan my builds in advance, but that I just kind of winged. That was on the fly, and I think it's turned out really nice. But now that all of that section is complete, we do have this big long area along here, which is completely empty. And since that is the only build that is going to be on this level, I'm thinking we just decorate this whole area with crop fields, because if it wasn't obvious already, I do love a good crop field. So I think that is a good time to head back over to our main farming island so we can grab a load of crops. And I'm just trying to decide what type of crop that I want. We have so many wheat fields at this point, but the potato is kind of underrated. We don't really plant enough of this stuff. So that's what I'll do. I'm going to grab a bunch of potatoes, and then we'll head back over to the sugarcane area and get everything planted. All right, we got a pretty decent haul of potatoes there from the fields. But what I think I'm going to do first is make a nice path from this staircase all the way to the other one, and then once this is in place, it should give me a better idea of where I need to plant the potatoes. And there we go. I think that looks pretty good. Oh, let's just get the nether portal added in there too. And so now I've got a pretty clear idea of where all of the crops are going to go. I think I'll probably put flowers on this side and then fill all of this and all of that with some potatoes. All right, let's get it done. And that is everything just about grown in, and I think this looks great. It's so cozy. I think the flowering crop texture pack is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, but that's obviously why I use it. It looks great. But yeah, nice. So top level all done. Then we come down here. We got the mid level all done as well. But with those two levels complete, that means it is time for the next farm on our list, which is melon and pumpkin. But of course, we're going to need melons and pumpkins for that. And I do remember picking some melons up in episode 1. So hopefully I've placed them in our storage. Oh, okay, but this is my kind of food box, and I would have thought melons would have been in here. I don't know, maybe I moved some over to the village, but I can't really imagine why, so I'm just going to declare those things as lost. But on the positive side, Chestnut gets to stretch his legs, because I'm going to go have to find some more. But I am well aware that we do have a jungle just over these hills, so this bit should be fairly straightforward. Okay, we have arrived. Let me see if we can find any melons. I hope I'm not riding past some right now, because right now I don't actually see any. Alright, looks like I'm a little bit out of luck here, but that's okay because I know where a second jungle's located. Come on, Chestnut. I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to get a little bit worried because we've been wandering around for quite a while here and I've still not found any melons. Got to be around here though, right? They've got to be. And look at that, I have finally found one. I've got to be honest, I was starting to give up hope a little bit there. The sun is almost down. But anyway, let's head home and I'll stop off in a tiger biome on the way to pick up some pumpkins. Alright, we are in the tiger, but I'm pretty sure if we keep heading in this direction, there's a village. Oh, here we go. And I'm sure these guys tend to have pumpkins just lying about the place, right? Maybe if we come down here. Ah, there they are, pumpkins, nice. God, I'm so good at Minecraft. Alright, we got 12 pumpkins and 5 melon slices. Come on, Chestnut, it's time to go home. And we are back, but I am just coming down to the riverside here because I am going to need a lot more than 5 melons. So I'm just going to plant a little farm along the water's edge right here. We'll get some melons in and we'll get some pumpkins in. And then after a while, we should have plenty that we can just fit into a nice automatic farm. And just while I'm waiting for all of those melons and pumpkins to grow, I did grab a bunch of lovely stuff here so that we can go ahead and craft all the observers that we're going to need. And we're just going to do the same with the pistons as well. Alright, I am pretty much ready to go, so it's time to come over to our little blueprint here and decide where we want this thing. Now, of course, you've probably guessed, but this is a little bit too small to have a full farm inside of it. So similar to the sugarcane and the bamboo farm, we're going to build this one underground. So let's just imagine that this is the front door to the building. I think it'll be cool to come around here and have the ladder somewhere over this direction. So let's just dig down a few blocks, make sure you, we've got plenty of room. I think that should just about do it. And then we can start hollowing a nice little space out. And there we go. We've got a nice little bit of progress going on here. Before I get to all of the boring bits though, I just wanted to give you a quick update and show you around. So of course we're going to have our little main entrance area here. I'm sure I'll put some storage in the walls. Then on the left we have our main collection system. You can see hoppers running all the way back there, and they come all the way around to this point here. We've got a little redstone circuit going on at the back here, and then down in the main section, this is where we're going to have all of the melons and the pumpkins. We're going to have it so the system automatically breaks the melons and the pumpkins, drops them onto the ground, and then the minecart track, which is going to cover every square, will just zoom around and pick them all up on a loop. But yeah, this is going pretty well so far. So I am just digging out these sections here, so I can just put a bunch of redstone torches down, and I'm just going to do that again over here, cover it all back up, and that's just going to make sure that all of these powered rails have a power source. And to get the farms in, we have to be a little bit clever here. It's not just like wheat. We need to make sure that we leave a space for the pumpkin or the melon to actually grow on. So I'm just going to go around like this, skipping a block each time, and then I'm just going to go around and get a nice checkerboard pattern. There we go, nice and easy. And it is finally time to head back over here and grab all of our pumpkins and melons. And how much we got? We have 31 melon seeds and over a stack of pumpkin seeds. This is quite a small farm, so that is definitely going to be enough. And let's just keep this nice and simple. I think I'll do a row of pumpkins, a row of melons, and we'll just alternate all the way along. Now I know there's something to consider with the speed that these things grow. I think pumpkins grow quicker than melons, so this will technically produce more pumpkins, but I'm completely fine with that. Now for the claustrophobic part, we have to put pistons above each one of these dirt blocks, and that is all done. So I'm just going to clear this top layer off the top here, and then all I've got to do is place these observers facing downwards. Alright, now this is all looking good. So the absolute final step I've got to do is just add a minecart with hopper on top of this, and there we go. I think, or I hope at least, that that is everything. But this place is definitely looking like a bit of a mess, so I'm going to tidy it up and I'll bring you back in a sec. Now of course, still completely empty up here. We're going to build that soon, but if we just happen to hop down our little hole in the ground here, get a load of this. I think it looks really nice. Lots of spruce obviously, but you know, I really don't mind that. So of course our farm is right in front of us working away. Oh, and there it is in action. So at some point you'll see this little pumpkin disappear. Hey, and there we go. So that's just been picked up and carried to this chest over here, which we are so far flying in melon slices. So yeah, very happy with the output of this farm. And if you're still watching at this point in the video, first of all, thank you. And second of all, comment the word jelly bean so I know who the real MVPs are. But anyway, on this side of the wall, we've just got a load of different types of storage. We've got barrels on the walls, we've got chests, obviously we've got the main deposit box there. Then if we just turn around, we have just got some excess storage on the other side as well, which is just empty for now, but of course that'll be full all before we know it. And then for the decoration, I've kept it all fairly rustic. Of course, we've got some glowstone at the top there, and we've got some deep slate in the middle for the roof. And we've also got deep slate in the walls, I forgot about that. But yeah, all in all, I would say I am pretty happy with this. So I'm just going to leave that farm doing its thing, and it is time to come upstairs, because next up I want to build the actual farmhouse itself. But if we just look around these builds so far, we've got white wool in the top of that thing, we've got white wool in the top of that thing, and we've got white wool in the top of that thing. And I fancy changing things up a little bit. So I just updated my world, so I'm just going to head back over to the island, where we can pick up our good friend Chestnut, because I think now would be the perfect excuse to get pale wood instead of using white wool all the time, which of course means we're going to have to find a pale garden, and I've not come across one yet, so this is going to be fun. Oh, I can finally see one. I am not joking, that has took forever. In fact, let me bring my coordinates up. We are 5,000 blocks away from home. This has been a ridiculous journey. The worst part is I probably passed 2 or 3 already, but I just rode in a straight line. It looks like it's right on top of that mountain too. I'm going to have to try and find a good way up. Sorry Chestnut, you know the drill by now. It is time to get in the hole. This is the first time I've ever come to a pale garden too, and I am loving the atmosphere so far. Although I've heard it is a little bit creepy at night time, so maybe we'll take off before then. I like the trees though, plenty wood on these things. And that should just about do it. I've got just under 2 stacks, but we do have 20 pale oak saplings as well, so we'll be able to grow these things back at home. And speaking of home, come on Chestnut, we have another 5,000 blocks to travel. Oh, this is going to be a long one. And home sweet home. You know, I say this every single time, but it's never bad traveling far when we've got Chestnut. But we have exactly what we want now, so let's get ready for this build. So I've just gone ahead and laid out a nice palette for this build, and surprise surprise, for the foundation I'm going for a bunch of stone variant and a little bit of tuff. I'm going to get some brick, granite and rooted dirt sprinkled in there, probably for a tower or a windmill. And then of course we've got this nice combination of wood on the side here with the pale wood to finish it off. I think this is looking pretty solid. We've got our build, we've got our plan, let's get it done. And I would say that has come out so nice. I really like it. I am just going to leave that copper to oxidize until the final stage, so it looks a little bit rubbish right now, but soon that will be the color it needs to be and the build will be complete. But yeah, like I said, really happy with how it turned out. Got a nice cool windmill on the side of there too. The front's nice and cute, and I'm really happy with how the pale wood looks as well. Definitely a nice change up from the white wool that we've got on everything else. I added some cherry leaves at the front here as well, just for a little splash of color, and then round the side we've just got a nice little overhang with some pumpkins and melons. But of course this thing does have an interior too, so if we just come in here again, with this just being like a farm building, we're going to need a lot of storage, so that's what the majority of this thing is. But either way, I think it looks really nice. I've got some melons kind of stacked up and tied to the wall here, got some pumpkins scattered over here as well, and I thought I would do something a bit different with the floor for once and added some tough blocks in there, which I just noticed that I didn't actually finish properly, so there we go. But yeah, all in all, we've got this floor complete, and we've also got the downstairs complete, and by the way, this is working extremely well. But yeah, all in all, I would say that this is complete. But of course, we still have this entire level to decorate. Now, we don't have as much room as we did on the other 2 levels, so I'm thinking of just keeping it quite simple. But before we do anything, we should really get a path leading to the stairs over here. And there we go. I think something like this will do. Just left a little bit of dirt out front here so we can put some grass on it as well. Oh, and you know what? We may as well get it connected to this soon-to-be staircase over here. There we go. That looks a lot better. Okay, then now, in terms of decoration, what I'm thinking is, why don't we just put a nice manual pumpkin and melon farm outside of here? I'll never harvest it, it's purely just for looks, but it'll kind of give a nice indication of what's going on inside the building. And so what I'm thinking, because I don't want to use water, I'm just going to have to till all of this soil, plant all my pumpkin seeds, then I'm just going to bone meal all of the seeds to give them a head start, and then once all of these have grown in, we'll do the next row and keep alternating melons and pumpkins until it's complete. This is probably going to take a while. And there we go, I think that has turned out really nice. I love this texture pack as well, which has the bigger roots and stems. I think it looks great. So yeah, pretty satisfied with that, but we still have all of these blank patches around the side of the building and down on this lower level here. Now if we come up to the higher levels, you can see we've just kind of went with either flowers or potatoes, so let's not overcomplicate things here. I think we'll just plant a bunch of farmland around here, and sometime later this is all grown in nice. I've planted a few little potatoes by the house, again some more by the melon and pumpkin patch, and yeah, all in all, this is looking fantastic. And that was the top 3 levels all complete. So it was finally time to move on to our final ground level to construct the lava farm. But there is one very important material that we need to create this thing, and that would be dripstone. Now we don't have any yet, but on my travels I have spotted a dripstone cave. So it's time to take Chestnut out one more time for the episode so that we can get building this lava farm. And I believe round about here should be the entrance. There it is. Okay, tell you what, I don't want Chestnut falling into this giant chasm, so it's time to get in the hole. I'll be back for you in about 10 minutes, alright? But yeah, let's get a closer look at this thing. So this looks yeah, a little bit dangerous, but we do have dripstone all over the place. That's perfect. So I'm just going to slowly work my way down. Now luckily we do have feather falling for boots, so if anything does happen we should be okay, but I would rather avoid any accidents. But this is perfect. I already have 9 bits of dripstone, and to be honest I can't imagine that we're going to need too much for this, so I think I'll just get a few more of these big ones. Kind of hit the lottery here, to be fair. This is very good. Alright, and that should just about do it. That's a full stack, and it would kind of be rude not to grab some dripstone blocks while we're here, but you know what, I think that is going to do me, so let's get out of this cave. I'm sure Chestnut won't be too happy if we leave him in the hole much longer. Where is that horse anyway? Oh, there he is. Sorry, buddy. Hope that wasn't too traumatic for you. Thanks for waiting, though. Let's get ourselves home. Alright, so I am safely back home with my dripstone. But, of course, to make a lava farm, well, we're going to need lava. And, yeah, I could probably search underground in some caves to find it. But I think that's going to take quite a long time. And if there's anything I do not have right now, it's spare time. So I'm just going to pop over to the iron farm here. Then I'm just going to craft a bunch of buckets. And that's right, I am heading back into the nether. But instead of going all the way down there, I think I'm just going to hop over to that basalt delta in the distance. And here we are, although a little bit dangerous. Hang on a second. Get rid of you. And you. Oh, there's quite a lot of them here, but they're pretty slow, they're pretty derpy. I don't really think we're in any danger here. Just going to kill the baby. And it looks like the course is finally clear, so let's just yoink all of this lava. That's all the buckets filled up. Nice. Alright, anyway, I value this hardcore world way too much to stay in here any longer, so I'm going to get rid of these little idiots, and we're going to head straight back home. Alright, now this is going to sound quite silly, but I have actually never built one of these farms before, but I think I kind of know how to do it, so I'm just going to do a little test over here. All I think you do is place a cauldron down, then a couple blocks above that, I believe you put the dripstone. Actually, let me just change that so it's a little bit lower. There we go. And I'm just going to put some trapdoors on the sides here like this. And I've just created a little section at the top here which we can place the lava in. And if I am correct, which I rarely am, this thing should produce lava. So I am not entirely sure how long this took because I've been getting resources ready for our build, but this confirms that it does work. So we've got our farm design. What I think we'll do is just dot a load of these around the inside of this building. And speaking of the building, because we're going to have a bunch of lava inside of it, it kind of only makes sense to me to just make it out of different stone and deep slate variants. And of course, just a little bit of spruce on the outside. Now, usually I've been doing the farms first and then these structures, but for this one, I kind of don't really have a plan. We're just going to see how many of these we can cram into one building. So I'm going to build the building first and then we'll do the lava farm. Let's do it. And just like that, we have a brand new building. And of course, I do love how this thing looks. It's quite a nice change having something made fully out of stone, which, you know, kind of makes sense given the fact that we're going to have a lot of hot things inside of this. Kind of needs to be flame proof, which of course the roof isn't, but hey ho, we can ignore that. But yeah, initially I was going to go with a big tower on the side, which kind of turned into a chimney halfway through, but I definitely prefer this. And as per usual, we've got a nice little overhang on the side, which I'm going to fill up with some appropriate things later on, although not quite sure what to put here yet. Can't really put boxes of lava down, can we? But I will think of something. And yeah, we got some nice decoration on this thing, a lovely chimney at the back there, and a nice big door at the front. Now, of course, the inside is completely empty as it stands, because I haven't quite figured out how many of these things I can actually fit inside, but I don't think it should be too hard to figure out. So I'm just going to make a bunch of cauldrons. I think maybe 15 should be enough. I'll be surprised if we use more than that. And then let's just have a wander inside here, and I guess we just start putting them down along the walls here like this. Do some on the side here too. And you know what? That has actually turned out pretty perfect. I think that's a good amount. And then let's just run a nice bit of deep slate along the top here like this. Get all of our dripstone attached to the deep slate. Now all we've got to do is contain the lava at the top here. But instead of using spruce trapdoors, I'm going to use iron bars instead. And then I am going to very safely place them all along the top here. Now I'm not entirely sure if wooden stairs typically catch on fire, but I do play with fire tick disabled, so this should be nice and safe. But anyway, look at this thing going, and already we have some buckets of lava here ready for the taking. This thing is going to be so handy for a super smelter once we eventually build one. But it is looking slightly bare bones in this thing, isn't it? So give me a sec, I'm going to work on an interior and I'll be right back. And just like that, the interior is all done. But let me show you inside real quick. So as you already know, we've got all the cauldrons down the middle here collecting the lava, and I really like the tough floor that we put into the melon farm building. So I've kind of done something similar here with a little crafting table in the middle. Then at the top for the ceiling, I've just covered all of those spruce stairs with granite. I feel like the spruce stairs just look like they were probably going to set on fire, so we've swapped it over, and I think this is much better. On the side here, we've got some storage, which we can use for all of the lava. But yeah, kind of all there is to this one. I would say this one is definitely function over fashion, but it gets the job done, and I'm happy with it. Still haven't decided what to put on the outside here, but I will get it fixed at some point. But since the building itself is all complete, I think I'm just going to go ahead and connect up these levels here with some nice spruce stairs. And there we go, all of our levels are now fully connected. And just look at the view of this thing, that looks insane. But I definitely need to do something about all of this blank space out the front of the lava farm here. Doesn't look right having all of this detail just suddenly cut off as soon as we come out of the final building here. I really don't want to complicate things, so I'll probably just put flour and wheat farms on the side here. But how about we have something a little bit more interesting out the front here? And you know what, since we've got a lava farm here, which I feel like kind of needs an emergency stop button if anything was to go wrong, so why don't we build a pond out here? We can have a nice bit of water out the front, so if I ever set myself on fire in this thing, well, we don't have to run far. Yeah, you know what, I think that sounds like a pretty good idea. Tell you what, why don't I just start by removing some of this dirt here? I think I would just like to get the area nice and flat, and it'll just leave a lot of room for some proper decoration. Although, you know what, on second thought, let's maybe not bring this too far back, otherwise we're going to have too much room to work with. But I have trimmed a bit off the edge here, so I think that's good enough. We'll just get this tidied up as well. And yeah, I think this leaves us with enough room. Alright, let's dig this pond out. And that might have came out a lot bigger than I was expecting there. Kind of looks like the thing's been hit by a bomb. Well, that's kind of done now, so no turning back, I suppose. What I think I'm going to do though is just cover the whole bottom layer here in sand. I think that'll look pretty cool. But of course, I don't really have any sand. So I'm just going to dump all of my rubbish into here, and then I'm just going to pop over to that beach over there so I can start digging up all this good stuff. Alright, I've got 10 stacks of sand, so I think that should be enough. Just going to go around the edges here and get the outline in. Yeah, see, I think that already looks really cool. I'm definitely glad I did this, because I wasn't going to have the pond this deep initially. But time for the long part now. Let's get this all filled in. There we go. That looks a lot better than the crater it was 5 minutes ago, doesn't it? I think it's already starting to come together quite nicely, but I'm planning on putting a lot of details around this thing. Now, I will save the water until probably one of the last things, because what I want to do first is just go around the edges here and delete a few blocks that we can replace with rooted dirt. I think the key here is to kind of make sure that we make it look nice and random, which basically means not putting any thought into it. And that's my type of build. Alright, that's looking pretty cool. Kind of hard to notice it from a distance, but you can definitely see it when you're kind of walking past like this. I tell you what, why don't we just go ahead and add a few more holes like this, and then I'll just go ahead and fill all of those spots in with coarse dirt, just for a little bit more variety. And I think this always goes well with the rooted dirt. And I've got to say, you know, not too shabby actually. I kind of like this. But I did grab these mud blocks as well, because I feel like if the water is going to be on this level here, it would kind of make sense for mud to be underneath it and maybe spilling around the edges here too. So again, just like before, I'm just going to delete all of these blocks here, and then we can just go ahead and replace it all here like that. Oh, and that is a really nice bit of texture. Okay, definitely going to do more of that. I really like it. And I think that has made the biggest difference so far. Definitely a fan of this. And I think now is probably a good time to fill this thing in with water. I still want some more decorations, but I kind of want to put sugarcane around the edges, as well as some nice little seagrass at the bottom. And finally, with all of the water in, I can start decorating the outside. And I can do something that I've been wanting to do for a little while now. I can actually use one of the farms for our decoration. So I'm just going to come down here and yoink some bamboo out of this box. Okay, never mind, that's sugarcane, but I'll grab it. And then we'll grab some bamboo out of this box, which is full already. That's really cool. I should probably get a crafter underneath this and actually turn these into bamboo blocks. But that is a task for another day. And for the sugarcane, obviously we can't have it too far away from the water, so I'm just going to sprinkle it around the edges here, and I'll just keep it to small little clumps like this. We don't need the full thing covered. Once they're grown up fully, it's going to look a lot more complete. But I also want to put some bamboo down as well. And honestly, I kind of feel like this would just look nice if we put it in amongst the sugarcane here. And as for the water itself, I didn't really know what else to do, so I just grabbed a bunch of lily pads, which kind of look like Pac-Man now that I'm looking at them. And I think I'll just dot a few of these round with my amazing parkour skills. And yes, something like that should be good. And if I'm remembering this properly, I'm pretty sure we can just bone meal sand like that. There we go. That gives us that really nice seagrass. Honestly, this stuff is like a cheat code. If you don't know what to put under your water, just bone meal some sand, man. So easy. Alright, I am officially sold on this pond. This looks amazing. So I'm going to finish off the details around the pond, get the flower fields in around the area, tidy up a few details around the build, and let's get this project finished. And for everybody who's stuck around this long, leave a name suggestion in the comments for this new area, and I'll pick the best one in the next episode. And we're finally all finished. I love this place, so thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next one.